Hare Krishna. I think I'm seeing you after a long time. If some of you have known that the last week, I think Friday happened to be Gaura Purnima, the appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unfortunately, our organizers, I think, slipped, and I also slipped in reminding them that the evening program clashed headlong with the celebrations. So I was not able to meet you then. Sorry about that. I think you got some short notice. But here we are again by Krishna's arrangement and mercy that we are together. And we're going to definitely study seriously the Gita. So I'm not going to ask you what you did in the holidays that was given to you by default, whether you read all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita completely because you had 2 weeks, 15 days, and maybe you read the whole Bhagavad Gita through and through. Yes? Yes or no? No. But you read some of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Maharaj.
Isn't it? I'm sure you read some.
Yes, Maharaj.
Don't worry. We will definitely look into it and try to make amends today. Today, we are reading the last portion of the 6th chapter in detail. We shall be studying the verses from, let me put this on for you, verses 37 to 47, we shall be studying. And we should be reaching the end of the 6th chapter. Right? So, shall I quiz you on what you remember from the 6th chapter from the last session? Or should I not? Shall I take a quick quiz, or would you like to share what you remember or what you like from what you have studied till now? Take a quick foray into the 6th chapter till now. Who wants to say something about what you heard from the 6th chapter that is a realization for you, something important and interesting for you? If you remember right, we spoke last time a lot about the mind and how yoga is connected with the mind and senses. Yoga Indriya Samyama, controlling the senses and the mind, is a central principle of yoga. And then there was a whole discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. And Arjuna did something very amazing. Do you remember? Hello? I'm sure I did not speak Greek or Latin because I don't know Greek and Latin. I know for sure I don't know Greek and Latin. Either my sound system is not working or I'm speaking Greek and Latin. Which one of it is true? Please tell me both are untrue. Do you remember? You want to quickly bounce off something from last time to me?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, Sundarji, go ahead.
So the main thing is that abhyasene tu kaunteya vairagyene cha grahyate.
Yes. What does it mean?
If we do practice with detachment, we will be able to conquer this mind.
Exactly. That is Krishna's advice.
Krishna's, yeah, correct.
Yes. Right. Thank you very much, Sundar. Anybody else want to share something? Just bringing ourselves up to speed. 2 weeks is a long time, I know. So anybody else wants to share something?
Guruji,
Yes.
after practicing yoga for a long time, we may be able to control our mind little by little so that we can reach a stage where we can slowly think of the Supreme this thing.
Yes, Supreme Lord. Thank you. Thank you, Shalini.
Thanks. Thank you.
You also must remember that yoga means, very clearly stated by Krishna. I brought out many verses onto the screen, but if you have read the chapter, you know, yoga means meditating on the super soul in the heart. That's the focus of yoga. Ashtanga Yoga's focus is meditating on the super soul, the Paramatma in the heart. Very important for us to know. It's not about asana and pranayama and all that. That is halfway. It's like saying that I want to go all the way from here to, Salem, Chennai, Bangalore. I'm going to take a ride. But you have to take the bypass, you have to go through the toll, you have to pay this much, and then you have to be careful. There's a one-way, then you turn left and you go round about the city. Then you reach this, what to do because there's a big bridge coming up, da-da-da-da-da. Okay? But my real aim is to reach my destination, which is Salem, let us say. But imagine you in the process get involved with paying the toll, and you fight with the guy, you file a suit against him, and then you get back to your lawyer, and then you do this and do that, and everything is forgotten about the purpose of your journey. Or you actually, on the way, met somebody who helped you with a flat tire, and then you started a business with them on repairing flat tires and never reached Salem. Just imagine. Sometimes we'll end up doing these things with life. The purpose of yoga is to understand and connect. The word yoga means yuj, connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for that, you should meditate on the localized feature, Paramatma, of the absolute truth in the heart. It's situated in the heart, right? And that is very clearly mentioned by Krishna in the 13th chapter. Kshetragyam chapimam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetragnyor jnanam yattat jnanam matam mama. After he explains about kshetra and kshetrajna, he'll say that I am also situated in this heart of yours as the second kshetrajna. Kshetragyam cha apimam vidhi. I am also there as a kshetrajna within your body, in your heart. Very clearly, there are two people inside this body. One is you and one is the Supreme Lord. And the purpose of yoga is for you to meditate on the Supreme Lord who is so close to you, situated in your heart. That's what yoga is about. So don't forget that. And the Bhagavad Gita, it makes it very clear. It's not about Ashtanga. Yoga does not mean that you straight away practice pranayama and asana and that's it. Not the ones before it, not the ones after it. We just take a sliver of what I like, and for business it is very good because you can make tons of money out of it, and that's it. That's not the purpose of it. That we came to know very well. Okay, so thank you. So today we are going to go into the next. As soon as Krishna says, this is what is a yoga, and Arjuna rejects it, it's not practical for me, I will not be able to practice it. Because yoyam yogas tvaya proktah samyena madhusudana etasya aham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitam stiram. O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Because everything depends on the mind, the type of yoga that you're talking about. And chanchalahi manakrishna pramati bhalavat tridam. Mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Of course, Krishna says that, oh, you can do it by practice and all that. But it doesn't gel with Arjuna very much. I know that it can be done and all that, but it didn't gel with Arjuna very much. But Arjuna posed another question. What about that person who practices yoga very sincerely, my dear Krishna? He practices yoga very sincerely. But chalita manasa hai. It's not so easy to practice anyway, as you have told me. But he practices and then he somehow succumbs to his previous habits and he sorts of falls down. He doesn't make it. What about the fate of such a person. All so many years he put into it, and then finally just a small thing happens and then boom, he's gone. Think of Vishwamitra Muni. He wanted to be a Brahma Rishi, and then he performed severe austerities. And then in came Menaka, and with a little jingling of her anklet bells, he was down, finished. So powerful was the influence. So Arjuna is asking in Shloka 37, you will see, Ayati Shraddhaya Upeto Yoga Chalita Manasaha Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati. Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim. Aprapya means he did not get the completion and the fruit of that yoga. Kam Gatim. What will be his destination? Gati means destination. What is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Mysticism means Ashtanga Yoga. What about him? So Arjuna has got this doubt and he's feeling very much why? Because it's a lot of work to sit down, Sucho Deshe, Pratishtapya, find a nice place, clean it and sit down there in Padmasana, look at the tip of your nose, meditate on this thing and then control your breath and then meditate in the Lord in the heart and austerities and penances and each very less and Yama, Niyama, Asana, Dhyana, Pranayama, Dhyana, Dharana, Samadhi, this, that, everything. And then he doesn't make it. And he gets derailed on the way. So that's sort of a little not very nice for Arjuna. So he's saying, O mighty arm Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a driven cloud with no position in any sphere? In text 38, he's saying, Etam me samshayam Krishna. This is my doubt, Krishna. I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is found to be able to destroy this doubt. So you will see this happening quite often in history. We heard about Bharata Maharaj and the deer coming in, completely attracting him and veiling his whole exalted spiritual process, which he started after sacrificing so many things and coming to the forest. So this is very dangerous for the yogi, that Maya, illusion, comes in the form of a deer, comes in the form of a beautiful woman called Menaka, comes in the form of powers that you have, mystic development. You have mystic power and that will drive you mad. Name, fame, glory, all this will come to a yogi and try to take him away from the path of success. And it's quite common. So Chalita Manasaha, due to little bit wavering mind, this happened. So what about him? Okay. And Krishna amazingly answers, Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Very important answer he gives. Partha naiveha namutra vinashastasya vidyate. There is no loss. There is absolutely no loss. This is very amazing, right? He's saying there is absolutely no loss. Why? How? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, please, I would ask somebody to read that. It's a very key shloka. So can I ask Shanti Vidyasagar to read it? The translation to this 6.40.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, son of Gita, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil.
Thank you, Shanti. Partha, he's saying, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. So, the absolute nature of a transcendental activity. We have read before akarma, we have read before yajñartat karmana, for the sake of Krishna, perform activity. And the nature of such activities, it is absolute. It's not a relative activity. If you worship the demigods and the devas, it's a relative activity. But if you worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead or perform a sadhana to reach Him and meditate on Him in the heart, it can never be a loss. Why? It's a permanent asset. It's not a temporary asset that will disappear at the end of life. Everything else that you endeavor for in this world materially, whether you want to build up your bank balance, build up your name and fame on social media, whether you work very hard, you look after your family very well, or you become famous, all these things will end at death. And it is not eternal. That's the end of it. You die. But if you do service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, devotional service, bhakti, it goes to your permanent account. That is beyond lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes, it will still stay in that account. You have a material account and a spiritual account. The material account takes all your pluses and minuses. The sinful activities you may knowingly or unknowingly do. The pious activities you may knowingly or unknowingly do. They all sum up as design for your future karma, future experience and future lives. It's called sanchitta karma, prarabdha karma, many different types of karma in different stages of fruition. You know, kutam bijam falon mukam krameneva pradiyata vishnu bhakti ratatmakam. It is in various stages of fructification. Kuta, bija, phala, unmukha. Like that. Kuta means it's in its potent form. Bija means it becomes a seed. Then it starts germinating. Then it starts flowering and fruiting. Then you experience it physically in the material world, mentally in the material world, intellectually and everything. All these things are in different stages of karma, right? And at the end of life, whatever you are supposed to suffer and enjoy in this lifetime, it happens, and then everything closes off the account. And another account opens in the next life, and from the bank balance, again, it will be drawn and it will happen to you. But this karma is not permanent. It's not eternal. But any devotional service that you do, any activity you do towards yoga, towards connecting with the Supreme, that is your permanent asset. That goes into your permanent account. Nobody can touch it, right? And it will be there. In your next life, you can again open that account and start from where you left in your previous life and carry on. Isn't it amazing? For example, if you were to do chemistry and do a PhD in chemistry and maybe do some wonderful things and you get a great reward for that, and finally you land up in Princeton and Yale and Harvard and you do research and then you get a Nobel Prize in chemistry, whatever. You have Ramanujam, you have, Chandrasekhar, you have C.V. Raman, all of them great scientists. They were Nobel laureates, Nobel Prize winners. But in their next life, everything will be gone. All that learning that they do will not come with them. If C.V. Raman was reborn, he will not be born as C.V. Raman with the same brain, same consciousness, same extent, nothing. He will be born somewhere in some way according to his karma. Another sanchita karma and prarabdha karma, everything, aprarabdham, phalam, papam, kutam, bijam, phalon, all that will start again. Completely different design. Whatever he is supposed to suffer and enjoy, it's no relationship with what he was in his previous life. He will be learning A, B, C, D again from a tuition teacher. Arey Baba, this guy is C.V. Raman, Nobel laureate. But in this lifetime, as a kid, he will be learning A and he may not be able to draw it properly, write it properly also. And the teacher may knock him on the head and say, idiot, How many days am I teaching you? Can't you learn it properly? He cannot turn around and say, excuse me, do you know I have a C.V. Raman in my previous life? He will never know about it. He will not know about it. And the teacher will not know about it. Only Maharaj will know about it. So look at the soul's saga, that in one lifetime he goes on top of the giant wheel and the next lifetime is in the bottom of the giant wheel. It keeps moving, right? That is what happens with your material activity. So Krishna is saying, there is never any loss. In other words, is emphatically saying, you must do more of this. You must fill your life with this activity. That is a very smart yogi. Why? If you fill your life with this type of activity as much as possible, you'll finish it. You will not indulge in other temporary things and you'll fill up your bank account so much so that you get liberated. So Krishna is saying here, Partana ivaha namutra vinashastasya vidyate. So your account will not end. Not only that, Krishna goes further to describe there are two types of rebirths. Before that, I'll give you a little what Prabhupada said from the Bhagavatam. He's quoting this beautiful verse. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam hare. You will see in 40 in the purport he quotes. Bhajan apakvo atapate tato yadi yatrakva va abadram abud amushyakim kovarta apto abajatam swadharmatah. An amazing shloka. It goes like this. I will ask somebody to read this on the thing that you see. Satyendra, Hirena Desai. How are you doing? Please read this, that you see the quote here in English.
Sure, Maharaj. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a devotee may fully engage in his occupational duty and yet not gain anything.
I think you said devotee. On the other hand, a non-devotee may engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. Okay, right, that's okay. Thank you. So, is a comparison being made that you may not be a devotee, but you are very busy with doing all your duties perfectly. I look after my job very well and I'm recognized in my job very well. I look after my children very well. I bring my earnings and they are all very nicely situated. One is in UK, the other one in US, and they are married and settled and the husband and wives are doing great. And I am doing great. I have a lot of property. I have a wonderful BMW and we are going around meeting people. We are going on, pilgrimage. We're doing da-da-da. I've done all my things pakka. I'm a very successful man. But I never performed any devotional service to Krishna. I never read the Bhagavad Gita. I never chanted Hare Krishna. I never worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Bhagavatam is saying, what is the use of such a person? He has gained nothing. He may have done all his duties for material life, and in his next life, he may get a good material life. But he has failed to use the human form of life to advance himself in yoga towards the supreme absolute truth. So what is the use? Yatrakvava abhadram amushyakim kovarta apto abhajatam. Abhajata means no budge, not worshipping the Supreme Lord. Kovarta apto abhajatam swadharmatah. He only did his swadharma alone. Looked after himself, looked after his duties, looked after, according to Karma Kanda, portion of the Vedas, what all supposed to be done, my duty and all that I did. What is the use? Ko-artha. Isn't it an amazing statement? If someone gives up, on the other hand, all his material duties, tyaktva swadharmam, and holds on charanam bhujam harere, he holds on the lotus feet of Krishna. You are my only shelter. And he does service and bhajan, but it is apakwa. It is not pakwa. It is not perfect. Bhajan apakwa, atapate tato yadi. Because of being apakwa, not being perfect, he falls down from that position. What is wrong? The Bhagavatam says, it is far better to attempt Bhakti Yoga and fail in it. That person is far better situated than that person who never attempted Bhakti never worshipped the Supreme Lord, but did all his material duties very well. A person who attempts becoming a devotee and fails is in a better situation than that person who is materially successful. Isn't this an amazing point? See this. This is from the Bhagavad. So, Krishna is reflecting that and saying, no. Even if you fail, you have done the greatest thing. So, Prabhupada told us, if you're out hunting, hunt the rhinoceros, he said. It's a very amazing statement he made. Some sort of a British saying. If you're out hunting, hunt the rhinoceros. Human life is meant for Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. You should aim at the topmost position and you should hitch your chariot towards that. Divi Vachakshur Atatam Tad Vipraso Vipinyavo Jagruvagam Sasamindate Vishnuriyat Paramam Padam. My supreme destination is to reach the lotus feet of Vishnu. My chariot is hitched to that. Come what may, I will not lose sight of the goal of life. I will hitch my chariot and go towards that. I may fail also, that's okay. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's another statement that says, Meha Bikramanasto Asti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya. In this direction, if you go even a little, swalpam, trayate mahato bhayat, you will be saved from the greatest danger of having to again lead a temporary life. So, attempting and failing is no problem in this. That's a very amazing thing. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will declare that in the 9th chapter, you will see, Apichat suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadur eva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktat pranashyati. He's saying, if you go to 9th chapter, you will see in 30th shloka, 9th chapter, 30, an amazing statement made by, if my devotee who is trying to perform devotional service come towards me in the sadhaka, sudurachara, he does something very abominable materially. Apichat, even though he does something sudurachara, right? And continues to worship me. Bhajate mam ananya bhak. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't worship anybody else. I'm sorry I did something horrible, sinful. Sadhu revasa mantavyaha. My dear Arjuna, you must think of him as a sadhu only. You should not say that he has done something wrong. Why? In his determination is fixed in me. He did a little slip here and there, a little slip he had. Another amazing statement. Because why? Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. That Atma, who is a great person having surrendered to me, very soon he will set himself right. Shashvat shantim nigacchati. He will become situated on the permanent track. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati. You go and tell the whole world, my devotee is never a failure, even if he slips. Isn't that an amazing statement? Why? Because he is attempting the rhinoceros. He is attempting the absolute truth worship. He is attempting to get Krishna. He is not trying to shoot a rabbit. He is not trying to shoot a deer. He is not trying to go behind a rat, which is equivalent to going behind perfection in yoga, karma, dhyana, worshipping demigod, impersonal realization and all that. He's not doing all that stuff. He's boom, going for the rhinoceros. Because he made an attempt and because he likes that and is getting fixed in that, even if he slips a little bit, there's nothing wrong because he's already set on the right track. So therefore declare it boldly, Arjuna, one who sets himself on that track, like I told you, hitch my chariot to the topmost goal, he is definitely going to be successful because of me. I am involved with him. He may have challenges, problems and everything. but he is going to make it. So don't look at his little faults, because the man is doing something very fantastic. He is aiming very high. So, amazing statement made here by Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is saying, no, there's no loss. Why? In his next life, he will achieve great auspiciousness. And in the purport, Prabhupada gives this very brilliant analysis. He said, humanity consists of two types of people, the regulated people and the non-regulated. Most of the world is filled with non-regulated people. So if you want to achieve the topmost thing, you get disciplined, you follow some regulations, you get trained, you get, focused, all these things you will do because you're interested in getting the topmost stuff, right? So people who don't follow any regulation, have no aim and purpose in life, they just want to enjoy their senses and hang around, they invariably are non-regulated. And they will talk one way. So whether educated or not, so-called civilized or not, strong or weak or full of animal propensities, simply engaged in bestial sense gratification without knowledge of afterlife or spiritual salvation, it's not at all auspicious. Bulk of the human society today is like this. They have no scriptural regulation. I don't follow God, I don't follow religion, I don't follow any of your stupid stuff, you religious guys. I do what I want. Free will, free speech, freedom. These are non-regulated people. And most of the things that they do look sensational, but it lasts very short time. But there are regulated people who are shooting for the rhinoceros. They have a discipline, and these people make fun of them regularly. Great, you're going to get the rhinoceros. Wow. Foolish guy, you will never make it. It's like this. There is nothing like a rhino. They'll tell you all sorts of stuff. But these regulated people, they follow the prescribed rules in the scriptures. Just like here, Krishna is giving instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. We have faith in it and we listen to it. And we try under the instruction of a guru to follow these things. What do? Number one, followers of scriptural rules and regulations for material prosperity. There's one type of people who are Vedic followers of the rules and regulations, but have one material fruit out of it. And in that is the category of fruitive workers, the karma kandi, the sakama karma. I have desire, therefore I'm performing. May be elevated to higher planets. I don't know, not very sure, but not free from material existence and therefore not auspicious. The desire for material life, the desire for sense gratification, the desire for material experience, name, fame, glory, all that thing together makes it inauspicious. Means he has not yet come out of the relative, still stuck. But I want to get through the scripture, the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas describe that. I will get stuck to that. So in one sense, he's regulated, but he's regulated for the sake of material enjoyment. And another type of followers of rules and regulations, there are people who don't desire any fruit for sense gratification. No, but I'm following the rules. I want to lead a pious, good, cultured life. Not really very focused on some goal. Then there's another number two, ultimate liberation from material existence, the Jnani. This is the Karmi. Then there is Jnani. I'll cultivate knowledge. I get to understand what this is. Somehow get rid of this material influence. I am spirit soul. I am free. I have shed influence of matter. I've given up attachment. And here I am floating around in spirit. Wonderful. That is liberation, mukti. Then there's a third who are devotees in Krishna consciousness, whom Krishna is talking about repeatedly in the Bhagavad Gita. My devotee. In the Bhagavad Gita now, he will conclude about his devotee being the topmost yogi. So devotees in Krishna consciousness, this is what is our prescription from the Bhagavad Gita. And this is what Krishna is prescribing you should do. Okay. So Prabhupada is describing this in the text format. I have put it in a chart format for you. So you should understand religion means this. This is not religion. They don't want to follow any rules and regulations, moral or otherwise. So this is religion. And these people are materially religious. And this person here And 2 and 3 are different. They want to get out of matter. And out of 2 and 3, 3 is superior. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yattati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanaham kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Out of thousands of people who attempt liberation or becoming a jnani, very few make it. Kaschit yattati siddhaye. Siddhi means they attain perfection in liberation. Then yatatam api siddhanam. Out of all these people, thousands and thousands of such people who achieve liberation or qualified for it, hardly one knows me in truth. Kaschin mam veti tatvatah. In truth, knowing Krishna are very few out of these liberated guys. But the devotees of the Lord who directly have faith in the instructions of the Lord, directly practice Bhakti Yoga and become Bhaktas, they are actually very rare. They are very rare. So this is where we are trying, and that is a path of auspicious. All these things are path of auspiciousness because you follow the instructions given, material or otherwise, by the Lord in the scriptures. This is explained in the purport. Then Krishna goes ahead to say, that person who fails in yoga, and I told you there is no loss for him, you know what happens to him? In the next life, he gets good birth. Why? Because his bank balance shows that he has done karma. He has done devotional service, no? And I will make it possible for him to start again from where he left. I'll give him conditions that are favorable for him to start again. Of course, the choice is always yours. Okay? But I give him very good conditions for him to kick off again and open his bank account and start from where he left. In other words, it's like C.V. Raman coming back and taking off from where he left after the Nobel Prize. Now what? The next one, like that. But that's a crude example I'm giving. It doesn't happen because that's material stuff. So here, prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha suchinam shrimatam gehe yogo brashto bijayate. Yoga brashta. Brashta means one who falls down. A brashta yogi, 2 types of things happen to him. One, it's mentioned here, like it says here, the unsuccessful yogi. Can you please read that, Devaki Sumukhi?
Yes, Maharaj. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy.
Aha, thank you, Devaki. So you see, one type of birth is that Suchi Nam Shrimatam Gehe. Suchi means very clean. It means like a Brahminical family, righteous people, Sattvic people, very cultured and traditional. Shrimata means, Shri means Lakshmi. There's no problem for money. Rich, aristocratic. Born into that. That will happen to him. Why? Because from there, he can very easily now again pursue his Krishna consciousness, his yoga, Bhakti yoga he can pursue. And there's another type. 2 types are there, the fate of the unsuccessful yogi. One is, he is born in higher planets or takes birth in a family of righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava or aristocratic merchants, rich aristocratic family. You'll see them, Brahmin families, very rich, big businessmen, and they worship the Lord and the distinct demigods and this and that, and very clean, neat, very aristocratic, sophisticated materially, very well-read, very well-talented, everything good, good-looking, all that together. They'll be born. So when you see people like that, you should know he's a Brashta yogi. In his previous life, he tried to follow this, but fell down. But in this lifetime, he just becomes a good IT fellow and starts an IT company and makes money. Again, he has become a Brashta. He did not make good use of the good situation that he is in. Look at the analysis Krishna is giving. And another type is, One is short practice he does and falls down, and he's born in higher planets, or he takes birth in a family of righteous Brahmana thing. Then the other one is the one who after a long practice, he sort of gets knocked off by some, what do you call, Menaka, Ramba, Kilotama, or attraction for wealth or attraction for position or something, right? He's born in a family of yogis. Means he may be born in the forest somewhere in the Himalayas under some yogi who's very advanced in Bhakti Yoga or something like that. Prabhupada often mentioned that I am very fortunate that I was born in this family. My father cultured me very nicely. And you'll see in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he says to my father, Gaur Mohan De, in the first page, because he said that my father brought me up very nicely. He, right from his younger days, he asked me to worship Radha and Krishna. He was worshiping at home. And he told me to do Kirtan, Bhajan. He taught me Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavat, encouraged me to go to the nearby Radha Krishna temple. And at home, I was doing Rath Yatra for Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra. And I had an 8 days festival. My father spent money like nothing. For me to have an 8-day festival, he spent money. He was a very rich man. He was a textile businessman. He brought up his son with full Krishna consciousness from his young days. So Prabhupada said, I'm very grateful to my father. It's not that Prabhupada is an unsuccessful yogi, that he has come. I mean to say that Prabhupada is a very, very advanced spiritual person coming definitely from the spiritual world of the order of Krishna to come and preach in this world. So, born in a family of yogis, and he quickly revives divine consciousness by starting again Krishna consciousness, and boom, he achieves success. You will see in the life of Bharata Maharaj, who became attached to the deer, then he fell down and became a deer. It's a beautiful story in the Bhagavad, that he left everything and came to the forest, and then he saved a deer from a tiger, and young deer just delivered. And then he becomes so cute, so nice, and then he starts feeding it milk and this and that, and becomes very attached to the deer. And then he, completely finishes off. He just forgets Krishna, forgets everything, becomes waylaid totally by a deer in the forest. And then he dies holding the deer to his chest and kissing the deer and all that. In his next life, he is born as a deer. How horrible. He's in the body of a deer, but he has very high consciousness. He remembers his past life. So as a deer, he sheds tears and said, wow, what a big mistake I made. A huge blunder. I fell down from my process of yoga. And so there he became very careful and did not even move with the flock of deers. He was there in the place of the rishis and sages, hearing them and listening to nice vibration from them and eating whatever little they gave. And then within a short span of 10-15 years, he left that body and became Jadabharat, again born in a family of Brahmins. Father was a very devout Brahmana worshipping Vishnu. So at that time, Jadabharat made it very careful. He made a very careful assessment of the thing, and he never interfered with anything material, and he kept away. A very wonderful story of him being almost offered in Narabali, and Kali herself comes and saves him because he's such a pure devotee. And there's a beautiful conversation of him finally with Maharaja Rahugana, whom he preaches to, and calls him a fool and gives him instructions. And Maharaj Rahugana accepts him as Guru. And he's just a torn clothing and just a very ragged looking person. But he is highly realized person. So that story also tells us that sometimes a fallen yogi takes birth in the high level people and his consciousness is very high and he goes. So these are two different pathways for a short practice and fall down, for a long practice and fall down, that Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, right? And you will see that in the shlokas that you read. Then Krishna goes further and he tells Arjuna, I know you rejected this yoga, which I spoke to you about. But you must know that I am trying to tell you not that you should be karma yogi, this yogi, that yogi and all. All of them are trying to connect. And Prabhupada will explain to us that when we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the Supreme Absolute Truth. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness, is the ultimate perfection of all yogas. This is Prabhupada's quote from here, from the 6th chapter. Okay? So, this is simple understanding of yoga. We read the whole chapter and Krishna is describing Ashtanga yoga. Arjuna is rejecting it. But Krishna is going further and saying, but I understand that's difficult. This is Dwapara Yuga. It was meant for Satya Yuga people. And Kali Yuga is also coming. And Arjuna is rejecting it at the end of Dwapara Yuga itself. But today people are spinning billions of dollars out of teaching that type of yoga in a twisted, concocted way. But that is not the purpose of yoga. The purpose of yoga is to connect with the Supreme and achieve bhakti, which is the topmost rung of the ladder which you saw in the previous shlokas that we read. Arurukshor munir yogam, climbing the ladder, going up, yoga rudasya. It says very nicely there that it starts with karma yoga, then in between many things, shades of it. Then you'll land up in jnana yoga, then shades of it. And then you'll land up in Ashtanga yoga, which Krishna is describing now in the 6th chapter. Then after that, you'll land up in bhakti yoga, and that you achieve bhakti, devotion to the Lord. The purpose of all yogas is to achieve bhakti to the Supreme Lord. Right? So, if you see here, Krishna is explaining very nicely. The yogi I am talking about is tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi jnanibhyo apimato adhikah karmibhyascha yogi tasmat yogi bhavarjuna. Okay, can you please read? Alarmelu, would you like to read that? Alarmelu Mangai. Can't see your name fully. Okay, you're not there. Okay, Sundar, you want to read this? On the screen?
Yeah, Maharaj.
Please.
A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than empiricist, and greater than fruity worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Look at the yogi I am talking about, who will reach the highest level, is greater than the Ashtanga yogi, is greater than the jnani or empiricist, and greater than the karmi or the fruity worker. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, be that yogi. Right? Very clear here. And then he goes further to say, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Now Krishna declares finally in this last shloka of the 6th chapter what he exactly means and what he wants. Sandhya Natarajan, would you like to read this translation?
And of all the yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Okay,
thank you, Sandhya. See this very powerful shloka. Yoginam api sarvesham, out of all types of yogis. Madgaten antaratmana, one who is absorbed in me inside. Shraddhavan, with great faith, he worships me, serves me. And Same Yukta Uttama Mataha. He remains, yukta means remains always connected with me in bhakti. That person is uttama, topmost. Mataha means in my opinion. Of course, Krishna is very humbly putting it as my opinion is my devotee is the greatest yogi. Very quickly he's saying it, right? And he's putting it as that is my opinion. Of course, that is the best. And that is the recommendation given by Krishna. Become my devotee, you automatically become the greatest yogi, the best yogi, right? Isn't that wonderful? So here is Prabhupada's quote again for you, which I will ask. Sri Kumar, can you read that, Sri Kumar?
Daishangi Maharaj.
Please read that.
The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti and Bhakti Yoga. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this nails it. Thank you, Sri Kumar. This nails it. Culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. And he says that we understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. He has gone to the top. That is the great offer given by Krishna today as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is giving you the Anarpita Chiram Charita, Anarpita Charim Chira, Karunaya Avatirna Khalo, Unnatu Ujjvala Rasa, Swabhakti Shriyam. It is mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that same Krishna who is coming and giving you, please chant this names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you'll get Unnata Ujjvala Rasa. You'll get the topmost relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Ujjvala Rasa, Madhurya Rasa, like the gopis had for Krishna. The topmost rasa is available if you chant offenselessly, if you chant sincerely, carefully. And it is such a wonderful offer. It's an amazing offer. Why? Krishna has decided to do so. Krishna has decided to do so. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a wonderful aspect of Krishna. He's called Mahavadanyaya Avatar. The most merciful aspect of Krishna, incarnation of that. That's why he doesn't see any difference between qualified, not qualified, and all that. Without any judgment, he gives it out to everybody. That's what Prabhupada was able to take that understanding, and because of that understanding, he went all over the world and to the most fallen people, most horribly sinful people. He went and tell them, open your mouth, chant Hare Krishna, here's some prasadam. And they became wonderful devotees. He proved it, that Krishna's mercy, when he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is immeasurably great. It is so wonderful. So that is what is mentioned here by Krishna also, that if you can somehow become my devotee, you don't have to actually sit and, Padmasana and look at the tip of your nose. You are right, Arjuna. It's some crazy thing. And actually, Krishna is agreeing with Arjuna, but in a different way. He's finally telling, be my devotee. That's it. That's what I'm asking you to be. It's not I want you to be Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, look at the tip of your nose now. You rightly said it is impossible to do it now. Right? Just simply be my devotee. You just chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavad Gita, associate with devotees, eat Krishna Prasadam, and hear beautiful Leelas, stories of Krishna. You'll make it. You'll make it. Right? That is the yoga for the age. The yoga for this age in Kali Yuga is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One who does that The Bhagavatam says is Sumedasha. He is a super intelligent person, one who does that. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yajnayi Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Hi Sumedasha. It describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It says Krishna Varnam Tvisa Akrishnam. He is not black. Krishna means black. He is Akrishna. He is the opposite of black. Right? And Krishna Varnam is always speaking Krishna, 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 names of Krishna. Sango Pangastra Parshadam. He is not coming with weapons. He is not coming with Sankha Chakra Gada and knocking out people with his Gada and chopping off heads with Sudarshana. He is coming with love. Love is his weapon. He just embraces you, however sinful you are, and makes you completely transformed. His weapon is his love. His weapon is his beautiful form. Sango Pangastra Parshadam. And what does he do? Yajnahi Sankirtana Praye. The yajna, the performance of the yuga dharma is Sankirtana. Yajanti hi Sumedasha. Yajanti means one who worships this form of the Lord in Kali Yuga is Sumedasha. He is super intelligent. Not just Medhavi, is Sumedasha. He is super intelligent. So you must do that. You must chant Krishna's names and be in Bhakti Yoga. Although the chapter is a description of Ashtanga Yoga, Krishna landed up finally in saying, Bhakti Yoga you do, Bhakti Yogi is the best, and that Bhakta is my topmost yogi. It's amazing, right? So actually all these yoga classes and yoga sessions will go out of business if they really understand this. And that's the reason why many people refuse to understand it. Because it's all materialistic stuff in this world. Even Bhagavad Gita is used for getting money. For getting money. Like I mentioned to you last time, I think most people who do yoga don't know anything about Bhagavad Gita. Actually, only if you read Bhagavad Gita, you know really what is yoga. See from this chapter what Krishna is saying. And a lot of them don't understand, they don't read Bhagavad Gita because the yogic practitioners who teach them keep them away from Bhagavad Gita. Because they know what's mentioned there. This guy, I will lose my client. But what we do is, I actually went to one of these big time yogic studios in New York. It was called Yoga Maya. The studio was called Yoga Maya. They're teaching yoga. And amazingly, that lady, she's an economist who got a real fetish for yoga and started learning yoga. And one of our devotees started visiting her and telling her what yoga actually is. And she came to 2-3 of our programs and she liked the kirtan and bhajan very much. She starts coming every time. And then slowly she started chanting japa. But she still continued to teach the yoga because she was making huge money in New York. So she said, I'm sorry about her getting a lot of money. So she's an economist, actually. Her real job is something else. In the evening, she comes and teaches yoga several times a week, about 4 or 5 times a week. I went to a studio, very nicely done. And people come from the best places, all executives and CEOs land up there. And she teaches them yoga. And she's a yoga enthusiast. She loves it. She loves to remain trim and healthy and everything. Fetish for yoga. But she was a nice lady. And she was chanting 4 japamalas every day. About 30 minutes to 40 minutes, she would sit and chant japa early in the morning in the studio. Then only she'll open up. She'll sit in a room and people are gathered outside. She'll not open it at a particular time, only she'll open it inside. She chants japa. She's so convinced about it. She reads Bhagavad Gita, everything. And she knows very clearly my yoga stuff is business. I do it for money and for good health, which I have, and let others also get good health. But I know yoga means what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? So you will find all sorts of people using the word yoga very casually. But today you've understood what really yoga is. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Any questions you can raise now?